Imagine having like a 30-year flawless record-building federal hospitals, right? And watching your multi-million-dollar bid just get thrown in the trash today simply because your back office is still, using Microsoft Excel to track project hours.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it's happening.
It really is. I mean, that is not a wild prediction for down the road. That is the new reality happening to legacy firms this exact second. So, welcome to this deep dive produced for the Scaling Legends podcast.
Glad to be here for this one. It's an important topic.
Absolutely. If you are a construction business owner tuning in, you already know that for decades, federal construction contracts were the ultimate safe play. You just show up, you stay reasonably on budget, and you repeat the process.
Right. It was incredibly predictable.
Exactly. It was the bedrock of a predictable pipeline. But today, that game is completely over.
It really is over. And treating this current environment like a temporary weather pattern is, well, it's the fastest way to lose your entire federal pipeline.
Yeah, you can't just ignore it.
No, it's not a storm you can wait out. The board has been flipped, the rules have been entirely rewritten, and we need to be very clear right out of the gate here. We are looking at real-time ground truths.
Which is terrifying for some, but a huge opportunity for others.
Exactly. I mean, the contractors who recognize this fundamental reset, say, 60 days ago, they are currently winning bids they never expected to win. And the ones still bidding the old way, they are getting rejected in numbers we have, frankly, never seen before.
Wow. Okay, so our mission today is to unpack a massive stack of documents detailing the 2026 federal contract reset. And this is all being driven by the new DOGE mandate.
Right, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Exactly. And just to be clear, we aren't here to debate the politics of it. We're treating this purely as a market reality, a new business condition. We're going to bypass the speculation and look strictly at the mechanics of what is actually happening in the market today.
Which is what really matters for the business owners listening.
100%. We'll cover how evaluation criteria have completely shifted, which specific types of contractors are like bleeding money right now, and why your legacy workflows are suddenly a fatal liability.
And we'll get into the action plan, too.
Right. We'll spend a lot of time on that. The exact 3 moves you need to make this week to reposition your firm.
Because to understand how to win bids today, you first have to understand the fundamental shift in how the government actually buys construction services now.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is the government demanding?
Well, the DOGE mandate operates with a single, highly aggressive directive, eliminate government inefficiency, and demand explicit proof of operational excellence across all federal spending.
Explicit proof, not just promises.
Right, not promises. As a pure market condition, this means federal agencies are now scrutinizing every single contract. They are strictly evaluating faster timelines and aggressively stripping out anything that doesn't directly add value to the physical project delivery.
So I've been thinking about the best way to visualize this operational shift. And I think it comes down to how you track your project. Using the old spreadsheet method is basically like trying to drive a truck while only looking in the rearview mirror.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. You only see where you went wrong after you've already hit the pothole. But the new standard, what the mandate demands, is more like a live GPS that reroutes you the second there is traffic ahead.
It requires active telemetry.
Exactly. But when we say telemetry in construction, we aren't talking about like GPS tracking on a fleet vehicle.
No, not at all.
We are talking about live, real-time dashboards showing that your concrete pour is 10% over budget on labor hours by Tuesday afternoon, rather than finding out 3 weeks later in a month-end reconciliation report.
Yeah, that is the perfect way to look at it. And what's fascinating here is how completely performance-based procurement has replaced traditional bidding.
Traditional bidding being the old low bid system.
Yes. For the last 40 years, you evaluated a bid on basically 2 primary pillars: price and baseline compliance.
Right, like did you check all the regulatory boxes and are you the cheapest option?
Exactly. That was the low bid system.
Yeah.
Now, the evaluation criteria have shifted violently toward those efficiency metrics you just described.
So it's not just about the bottom line anymore.
Not at all. Contracting officers are legally mandated to scrutinize your project delivery speed, your resource utilization rates, and your exact overhead ratios.
Wow. And if you don't have that data,
If your bid document doesn't explicitly address these criteria with verifiable data, it is automatically rejected before they even look at your bottom line price.
that is brutal. So if the government is rejecting bids based purely on these new rigid efficiency metrics, then the bloodbath must be, highly concentrated.
Oh, it is very concentrated.
Right, because whenever the rules of the game change this drastically, certain segments of the market get caught completely off guard. Who exactly is taking the hit right now?
Well, it's creating a stark divide between who is bleeding and who is actively capturing market share.
And we actually have the hard numbers on this. According to Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, general contractors with 50-plus personnel dedicated specifically to federal work are experiencing massive compliance burdens.
They're absolutely drowning in these new requirements.
Drowning. It's crazy.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's pure math. Those larger general contractors often carry really heavy administrative layers.
Like large back offices and middle management.
Exactly, layers of middle management. Under the DOGE mandate, when federal agencies run the numbers and see those historically high overhead margins, that top-heavy management structure becomes a glaring red flag.
So the agency sees that bloat and just says no.
Pretty much. Agencies calculate that inefficiency right into the proposal and heavily penalize the bid.
But the impact doesn't stop at the general contractor level, right? I mean, this pressure has to go somewhere.
Yeah, flows downhill.
Yeah.
Fast.
It's cascading right down the supply chain. Specialty trades and subcontractors who serve these federal projects indirectly are suddenly getting hit with massive new efficiency demands passed down from the GCs.
It's a massive downstream squeeze.
So the general contractors are scrambling to make their overall bid look leaner for the federal agency, so they just squeeze their subs to prove operational efficiency too.
That's exactly what's happening. The GC has to prove a lean operation, so they turn to their mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subs and say, we need your real-time data, or we can't use you on this federal job.
Man, that is tough.
And that is exactly where the mid-sized firms are getting completely crushed right now.
Yes, the mid-sized firms, because looking again at Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, construction firms in that 20 to 50 person range that haven't invested in automation are seeing their federal win rates plummet.
Significantly.
Yeah, they are down by 20 to 30% compared to 2025. A 20 to 30% drop in win rate in a single year.
Which is an existential threat for a business of that size. I mean, think about it. If you lose 30% of your expected federal pipeline by the second quarter,
You're in panic mode.
you are going to be making very painful decisions about payroll, equipment leases, and facility costs by Q3.
You mentioned that 30% drop in win rates, and here's where it gets really interesting for me. It's not because these mid-sized firms suddenly forgot how to lay a foundation or pave a runway.
No, their field work is fine.
Right. Their physical building skills are just as sharp as they were last year. They are losing multi-million-dollar federal bids simply because of an administrative failure.
Yep. It's a paper problem, essentially.
They are losing because of the outdated way they track and prove their work. I mean, they are still relying on spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets are dead on arrival in 2026. Dead. If you are submitting a federal bid and your internal processes rely on manual data entry in Excel, you are an immediate liability to the contracting officer.
Look, I can almost hear construction owners groaning right now just listening to us say this.
I know. It's tough to hear.
Because ripping out your legacy software, moving away from the spreadsheets your team has used for a decade, and retraining a 50-person operation on a completely new tech platform, that is a massive, incredibly painful disruption.
It's expensive and it slows you down in the short term, absolutely.
Right.
It is incredibly painful. Change management always is. But bleeding out 30% of your federal pipeline by the end of the year is fatal.
So it's about choosing the lesser evil.
As a business owner, you have to choose your pain. You have to look at what federal agencies are legally required to demand right now, which is real-time visibility.
Meaning they want to see everything as it happens.
They want to track material waste, schedule adherence, and budget burn continuously. If you are managing a complex, multi-phase federal project with disconnected spreadsheets, you physically cannot provide that live telemetry.
And this is where we really have to talk about the AI solutions that are actually winning these bids, because we aren't just talking about, digitizing a filing cabinet.
No, it's way beyond that.
We are talking about a completely different mechanism for managing a project altogether.
Right. Legacy construction software basically just operated like a giant digital filing cabinet. It looked for keywords.
Okay.
But these new AI-powered workflow automation platforms operate entirely differently. They actually use natural language processing to understand the context of what they are reading.
Okay, wait. Explain how that mechanism works in a real-world scenario on a job site, because that sounds very abstract.
Sure. So imagine you have a 500-page technical specification book for a new VA clinic.
Okay, pretty standard.
A legacy system might let you hit Control F to search for the word steel. But an AI platform reads the context of that entire spec book, cross-references it instantly against your daily field logs and your supply orders, and flags the project manager.
Oh, wow.
It literally says your subcontractor is about to use a grade of steel that doesn't meet Section 4.2 of the federal spec. It catches the discrepancy before the pour even happens.
That is incredible. So it prevents a massive change order and weeks of delays. And that exact capability is why these platforms are getting these firms labeled as best in class. You aren't just telling the government you'll be careful, you are mathematically proving you have an automated system that prevents waste.
Yes. And it goes even further than specs, too.
Wait, really? How?
These systems are generating draft RFI responses by analyzing the historical context of the project's communications.
Unbelievable.
They are taking raw, messy voice notes from a superintendent out in the mud, in the field, and automatically turning them into structured, actionable meeting summaries for the back office.
Which fundamentally changes the role of your project managers. Your highly paid PMs are no longer functioning as, glorified data entry clerks spending their Fridays copy-pasting numbers between spreadsheets.
Exactly. They're actually out-managing the project.
Right. They are solving complex logistical problems and maintaining quality. They can oversee significantly more volume without drowning in administrative busy work.
And when you document that specific AI capability in your bid proposal, you are handing the federal agency exactly what they're asking for.
So knowing all this, a contractor might be sitting there thinking, okay, I understand the writing on the wall. I need to overhaul my tech stack. But doing that takes months.
It does take time.
Right. So they might think, I'll put it in the budget for 2027, and we'll just lean on our current relationships to ride out the rest of this year. Is there any kind of grace period here? Can a well-established firm just wait this out?
Absolutely not. Assuming you can wait this out is the single most dangerous strategic error a firm can make right now.
No grace period at all.
None. The timeline dictated by this mandate is unforgiving, and it is already heavily in motion. Let's break down exactly what this year looks like.
Let's do it.
Right now, in Q2, we are actively seeing the reevaluation of existing contracts. Agencies are reviewing current, ongoing work through this strict new compliance lens.
So even if you won the bid fair and square last year and ground is already broken, you are under the microscope today.
Yes, they're looking for bloat in ongoing projects right now. Then we move into Q3. By Q3, these new procurement rules are fully enforced for all new solicitations.
So whatever minor grace period existed in the spring is just over.
Completely over. And by Q4, we will be seeing systematic, automated bid rejections for anyone who hasn't adapted.
Wow.
The window to reposition your operations is not sometime later this year, it's this week. The contractors whose bids are getting accepted today are the ones who took the pain of overhauling their systems back in January and February.
And there is a larger macroeconomic reality compounding this ticking clock, which is the total federal budget itself. I mean, overall, federal construction spending is down 12 to 15%.
Right, the pie is physically shrinking.
Yeah, the money just isn't there like it was.
Well, this raises an important question, though. If total federal spending is down by 15% across the board, why are some specific construction firms reporting that their federal divisions are actually making significantly more money this year?
It seems like a total paradox. How do you make more money when the budget is slashed?
It does seem like a paradox until you look at the mechanics of how the remaining funds are being reallocated. The reduction in federal spending is not an even haircut across the entire industry.
Okay, so who is losing the money?
It is heavily concentrated on redirecting funds away from projects and agencies with historically high overhead margins and poor efficiency track records. But, and this is the critical part, the contractors who can mathematically prove their operational efficiency are actually seeing increased allocations.
So the money isn't just evaporating into thin air, it's being aggressively redistributed.
Precisely. It is flowing directly toward efficiency-proven contractors. And because these lean operators can guarantee faster completion times and significantly lower administrative overhead, the government is actually willing to pay them premium rates for that certainty.
Wow, okay. That makes sense.
Yes, you are competing for a smaller overall budget pool, but it's a pool of work that is highly profitable if you have the digital infrastructure required to win it.
So what does this all mean for the listener? Knowing that the clock is ticking, knowing that Q3 is the absolute point of no return, and knowing that the capital is rapidly shifting toward automated firms, how does a construction business owner actually rewrite their playbook this week?
We definitely need to go through the 3 specific moves they must make.
Right. But before we get to the action plan, we have to address the fatal mistakes people are making right now.
The most common fatal mistake is assuming your legacy holds weight.
Like your track record.
Yeah. Contracting officers are legally bound to follow the new evaluation criteria. But a lot of firms think their GSA schedule or their long history with an agency will protect them.
Wait, hold on. I have to challenge that. You're telling me at a 20-year flawless track record, 0 safety incidents, always delivering on time, and a deep personal relationship with a contracting officer means absolutely nothing today.
It doesn't mean what it used to.
That's really hard to swallow in construction. I mean, this is an industry built almost entirely on handshakes, trust, and reputation.
I get that. And your past reputation for quality is great, but it cannot override federal law.
I guess that's true.
If a contracting officer is legally mandated to evaluate a bid based on real-time telemetry and specific overhead ratios, and your bid does not contain that data, they have to reject it.
So their hands are tied.
Completely. They cannot award you a $50 million contract on a handshake if their own performance metrics require proof of AI-driven waste reduction. Your relationship might get your phone call answered, but it will not override the DOGE mandate's data requirements.
That is a brutal reality check. Another fatal mistake I'm seeing is firms thinking they can just, tweak their existing proposal template.
Oh, yeah. The superficial updates.
Right. They just lower their bottom line price by 5% and add a fluffy paragraph about our firm's deep commitment to operational efficiency.
Words don't work anymore. Fluff is an automatic disqualifier. You must stop competing on the low bid altogether.
So what replaces it?
Your entire bidding strategy must pivot to verifiable data. You must embed certified timelines, historical labor productivity metrics, and explicit proof of your technological capabilities directly inside the executive summary of your bid documents.
Front and center.
Exactly. If your proposal doesn't mathematically prove that you are the leanest, most technologically advanced operator bidding on that job, you are leaving the contract on the table.
Okay, so let's get into the concrete action plan. We need to walk through the 3 exact moves a contractor needs to execute this week to get ahead of that Q3 deadline. What is move number 1?
Move number 1. Audit your last 5 lost federal bids. Pull the actual documents and look at them strictly through the lens of this new mandate.
But how do you meaningfully audit a lost bid if you don't have access to the winner's data? You don't know exactly what the other guys submitted to win it.
You don't need the winner's data. You need to look at your own bloat. You know what your administrative overhead percentage was on that bid. You know if your proposed schedule included thick buffers for manual coordination.
Oh, I see.
Look for the missing efficiency data. Did you include real-time reporting capabilities? Did you prove how your back office minimizes waste? I guarantee you, if you lost a bid in the last 60 days, it wasn't just because your materials cost more.
It was the process.
It was because your proposal lacked operational credibility compared to a modernized competitor.
That makes total sense. You are basically hunting for the gaps in your own armor. So what is step 2?
Move number 2. Pick up the phone today and call your top 2 or 3 federal clients.
Okay.
But do not call them to ask about upcoming projects or pipeline volume. Ask them directly about their internal pressure. Say, what exact efficiency metrics are you being federally mandated to care about most over the next 6 months?
Doesn't a phone call like that risk making you look kind of out of touch? Like if you were calling the client to ask what the rules are, doesn't that signal that you don't know what you're doing?
Not if you frame it correctly. You aren't asking them how to do your job. You are asking them how to make their job easier. Every contracting officer is currently stressed out trying to comply with their own boss's demands for data. By asking exactly what dials they need to see on their dashboard, whether that's daily labor utilization rates or material waste percentages, you are signaling that you are proactively aligning your tech stack with their compliance needs.
So you become the solution to their headache.
Yes. And once you know exactly what they are required to track, you reverse engineer your upcoming bids to feature that exact data front and center.
I love that approach. You are positioning yourself as a partner in their compliance, not just a vendor. And finally, step 3.
Move number 3 requires brutal honesty. You have to look in the mirror regarding your own technology. Evaluate your current project management software and your back office workflows today.
And ask the hard question.
Exactly. Ask yourself, can our current system generate real-time compliance data without manual data entry? Can it automatically extract requirements from a massive spec book using natural language processing? Can it turn a superintendent's field logs into instant structured summaries?
And as we discussed earlier, we know this is the painful part. If the answer to those questions is no, or if your project managers are still spending their Friday afternoons manually updating Excel spreadsheets so accounting can run a report on Monday, you are in trouble.
You are in deep trouble. If that is your current reality, you need to start talking to automation platforms immediately. Implementing the right technological infrastructure is no longer a nice-to-have luxury for the biggest firms.
It's table stakes.
It is the mandatory entry ticket to even sit at the table for federal work in 2026.
It really is a massive adapt or die moment for federal contractors. But before we wrap this up, I want to pull the lens back even further and look at the macro picture.
Sure.
We have spent this entire deep dive hyper-focused on the federal space because that is where the mandate is legally enforced right now. But what happens next year?
That is the multi-trillion-dollar question. What if this mandate isn't just a localized federal shift? What if the federal government is effectively establishing the new baseline expectation for private commercial construction as well?
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Think about the logic here. Historically, the federal government has been one of the most bureaucratic, slow-moving, inefficient entities on Earth.
Sure.
If even they are successfully demanding real-time AI efficiency data, zero administrative bloat, and live telemetry from their contractors, how long until private commercial developers, corporate boards, and healthcare hospital systems look at that standard and say, wait a minute, we want that exact same transparency on our projects?
Yeah, because if the government can get real-time waste tracking and premium efficiency, a private commercial developer putting up a $200 million high-rise is absolutely going to demand it.
Without a doubt.
They aren't going to accept month-end spreadsheet summaries if they know live dashboards exist. The federal sector is essentially beta testing the new operational standard for the entire global construction industry.
Exactly. And that is the silver lining for the business owners listening right now. The contractors who take the pain today, the ones who force themselves to modernize their tech stacks and overhaul their processes just to survive in the federal space, are going to walk into private commercial bids next year with an overwhelming, almost unfair competitive advantage.
Because they'll already have the infrastructure.
Yes. They will be armed with operational speed, verifiable data, and a lean overhead structure that traditional private sector contractors simply won't be able to match.
It all comes back to that opening thought. The old safe play in this industry was just showing up, relying on your legacy relationships, and doing things the exact same way they've always been done.
But that play is dead.
Completely dead. The new safe play is being the contractor who can hand over the live telemetry. The sticker price might get you in the room, but the operational data is what actually wins the contract in 2026.
The rules of the game have fundamentally changed, but the financial opportunity for the firms who adapt right now is massive.
It's absolutely massive. Listen, if you know a contractor who is getting their federal bids rejected right now and simply can't figure out why their legacy approach isn't working anymore, send them this episode. It could literally save their Q3 pipeline. Hit follow on whatever app you're listening on so you don't miss tomorrow's intel. And be sure to visit smartbusinessautomator.com to learn how to get your operations federal ready and ahead of the curve.